Welcome back to Studio F, where on Fast Times Willy B, we'll step back to 1983 and review The Outsiders. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russell.
Welcome back to Fast Times Willy B. I'm Willy B. I've got Kris with me once again. Busy weekend for you here on the channel.
Triple double.
Yeah, how the hell you doing?
Doing good. How we doing?
We're doing well.
Awesome.
So today we're going to step back, like I said, to 1983. Released
throwback.
in March of 83. We got The Outsiders as this week's poll winner. And based on the book from S.E. Hinton, which I got to read in middle school. Did you read it as well in middle school?
I read it in elementary school in
okay.
SFA.
Okay, that's when we did it. I think it was 7th grade. SFA.
Maybe it was middle school. I might be wrong. It might have been like 6th or 7th grade.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, I think it was because I forgot SFA was.
So that's a little advanced for an elementary school.
Nobody
kid.
watching, they're gonna be like, "What the hell is SFA?"
Yeah, I know.
But,
yeah, a reading class our school put us through, but this was a great book to come from it, and we got to watch the movie. My first time watching this movie was also in SFA, and I've seen it a handful of times
and
since.
reading the book.
Yeah, but director-wise, we got Francis Ford Coppola, so definitely a big name when it comes to
a lot
directors.
of big name actors too.
And
I
yes,
mean, it's a star-studded cast.
Cast list: we got C. Thomas Howell, we got Ralph Macchio, we got Tom Cruise, Patrick Swayze, Emilio Estevez, Matt Dillon, Rob Lowe. Who am I missing? Diane Lane.
Yeah,
the list
stacked.
goes on and on. But
that's an all-star cast.
Yeah, and
it's crazy.
The only one there that wasn't a greaser was Diane Lane.
Yeah.
Everybody else repping the greasers.
Yeah.
Good group of cast for the greasers for sure. But we'll start with the good and
the cast. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I was gonna say just the cast they got at this point in their careers. Most of them,
they weren't as big, but like
upper
still
teens,
good.
Lower 20s, all of them, and this was before some of them even had like a big movie out. I mean,
like
this
Tom
was a year
Cruise
before Karate Kid.
Yeah.
This was 2 years before Breakfast Club for Emilio Estevez. Tom Cruise, this was pretty early in his, start to stardom. That's why he's supporting. I think Patrick Swayze was the only one that had anything big out coming into this movie. So when you're looking at that, when this movie came out, you're like, oh, it's a group of kids.
Yeah.
You look back at it now, 42 years later, and you're like, man, how much did that cast cost? You know what I mean? So pretty cool to look at it that way.
Maybe not that much back then. I mean,
yeah.
Like you said, early in their careers.
So that's what I mean. Like if you watch this movie without knowing when their movies came out, you're probably looking like, man, they paid.
I'm probably gonna look up what the budget of the movie was.
I think it was in the 20s for millions.
20 million.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I
they
think it was
couldn't
like
have paid them
28.
that much because that's part of the budget.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean then that's but you could say that this was a start for a few of these guys too.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're talking about the cast, I think the standouts obviously C. Thomas Howell and Ralph Macchio. I mean, they are the two main characters. Then Matt Dillon also. I mean, Dally had a pretty big role in this movie, and
I think they're the big three. I mean, they're the ones that are at the church. I mean, they're the ones that go through that character arc. And
they are the three stars of the show. Patrick Swayze, I mean, obviously in limited time, I think he's also really good as that big brother that wants the best, but maybe isn't the best at showing it. You know what I mean? And honestly, just there's no notes when it comes to the cast and the acting in this one. It's very well acted. There's a reason a lot of these guys went on to have pretty great careers. Yeah. And I mean, just a hell of an ensemble to put together for this book turned film. Story, it's a really good story. I loved the book.
I mean, I would say the books.
So, you translate.
I didn't like reading in middle school, and I actually enjoyed reading.
That's exactly how it was.
Like, so.
I think in 6th grade SFA, the books really never spoke to me.
That was
and
one
then
of
we got
the
the
few
holes.
books.
We did holes at the end of 6th grade, and I was like, okay, I enjoyed it because I had watched the movie before.
Yeah.
And then this one started 7th grade, and I was like, now we're cooking.
Yeah,
now we're cooking. No, this was a really good book.
I remember after reading the book and watching the movie, I had my mom go get me the movie.
Yeah.
She actually got it in the $5 bin at Walmart.
That's awesome.
And in middle school.
Yeah.
So, and I still own it today
there
at
you
25.
Go.
So that's how I just watched it today. I was like, put my DVD in. It wasn't on any streaming. So.
Yeah. I think I have it on Blu-ray, and then I have it back here on tape.
Yeah,
but
it's a good one.
We watched it on tape last year.
Yeah.
The movie is pretty shot for shot to the book. When you're talking about, taking a book and adapting it to film, this is a pretty good adaptation of the book.
Good job,
yeah, there's no major changes to the story. Coppola took the vision, it seems like Hinton had with the book, and made it into a movie. If you played the book in your head while reading it, this movie is like what you imagined.
I mean, their outfits, their hair, everything.
Yeah.
The way they act, the way they talk.
Story-wise, you're getting exactly the same. So if you've read the book, you know the story, and if you've watched the movie, obviously, you know it's a good one. You know, it's the battle of social groups. You know, you got the socials versus the greasers. I remember when we first started reading this book, I think my teacher was calling them the socks. And it's so funny because I was like, why are they called the socks? And then we watched the movies now, and I was like, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, the socials. Yeah.
But it's, you know, the socials are the privileged upper class kids, and you got the greasers who live on the south side, and you know they're always into trouble. They have the slick back hair and the leather jackets with their dark wash jeans. But it's just, you know, you start this movie out and you get an introduction to both the social groups. You have the movie theater scene, and you know you got Ponyboy kind of falling for Cherry Valance, who is a soc. And the socials don't like that, so they kind of pick off Ponyboy and Johnny in the park, and it leads to self-defense.
Yeah.
And then from there, they're on the run. We get some of the church stuff. Dally's really helping them out. They don't know who else to go to. Church catches on fire. They save kids. They're heroes. It's just it's a really good story to follow. Really easy to follow.
The main social, I can't think of his name. He's like, I wouldn't have saved those kids.
Randy,
so,
yeah.
So I mean, it really goes to show like who's really the
good guys.
Yeah.
You know, and Ponyboy throughout this whole movie, he's really, you know, kind of getting tired of having to listen to the social groups and like, can everybody just be everybody and get along? And unfortunately, Johnny in the fire, you know, Ponyboy and Johnny and Dallas going and helping save these kids trapped in this fire at this church they're staying at, and unfortunately, Johnny gets injuries that, you know, he succumbs to, and that sends Dallas onto a whirlwind of emotion that leads to his demise. And it's one of those movies.
It's definitely a heartbring ending.
It is.
The last 15 minutes of that movie is just sad.
It's a good movie, but it is. It's a tearjerker. Yeah. You know, you get the letter from Johnny to Ponyboy at the end, and I love how they overlaid, you know, Macho to do it, and then they overlaid Dally when he's talking about Dallas in the note, and that's kind of your silver lining, the happy ending to a bittersweet ending, I should say, because it's still you end in that downtone of Johnny and Dallas just passed away, but you get that, you know, you get that silver lining there at the end, and Johnny telling the iconic quote before he passes, "Stay golden, Ponyboy."
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those movies that it's not, you know, intellectual in any way. Like, you don't have to be like super into it, but it's just easy to follow. It's a good story, and you know, it makes you feel all of the emotions. So it's just one of those movies that anytime you turn it on, you're in for a good watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those movies. I mean, I can watch it, go back to. I mean, I've probably seen it 20 times now since middle school. So
I mean, that's what in the last 12 years I've seen it how many times? Yeah. And it never gets old. I mean, I just rewatched it right before recording this, and once again, I was locked in.
It was fresh.
You know, watching things and memories rushing of reading the book, and it never gets old. And part of it's that cast too. Just watching that cast.
And even though you know the ending, it's still sad.
Yeah.
You're still like, damn.
Yeah. And you know how I am with 80s movies. It's an 80s movie, so it has that charm to me.
Yeah.
It feels nice.
It has the 80s just
vibe
feeling.
To it, yeah. And the direction from Coppola is great. I love some of the like the scene when they're drowning Ponyboy and Johnny pulls the blade out and kills the Soch. When he's underwater and the blood just fills the screen. Like, I always thought that was cool. A lot of good shots. One of my favorite shots in this movie is when they first get to the church and they're outside of the church and they're talking about their haircuts. Yeah. It's a shot of them and the reflection of water.
Oh, yeah.
What a shot.
Yeah, that is.
That's probably my favorite shot in the movie. But
cutting their hair with nice is crazy, by the way. That is like the craziest thing. I'm just like...
Every time I watch that scene, I'm like,
And they don't even really cut that much, and I'm just thinking, like, at the end of the day, that they probably didn't need to do that.
No.
Like, I was like, they didn't really do anything. They still look the same.
I always thought it was funny that Ponyboy was the one that had to change his appearance, even though
he's not the one that was really even on the run. He was just there he was just there to give him the company.
Yeah.
I'm cutting my hair too.
Yeah. One thing I really like about this movie too is it's a very dark movie. A lot of this movie takes place at night, other than when they're at the church.
Yeah.
Which is cool, you got Ponyboy who's
loves
sunrises.
Sunrise,
So you get that at the church. It's you get to settle down at the church and really dive into Ponyboy and Johnny's friendship and who they are, and Ponyboy's writing. That's something I always like about this movie too, is how he starts the movie writing.
Yeah.
He writes in the church and then he ends the movie writing. So I always like that. But when they're with the group, for the most part, the movie's dark.
Yeah.
You got the movie theater scene, you got the park scene, you've got the rumble. The rumble's awesome too. Once the rain starts pouring in, dude.
That's
what
probably
a scene.
That's probably the best scene in the movie. It's so awesome. The endings at night when Dally's running from the cops and
once again a bittersweet ending. I love from the fight though. They're like, we got to go see Johnny after they defeat the Socs, and he's driving like a maniac, and he's like, act hurt. He just crashed his motorcycle, and they get the police escort. But yeah, it's a great movie, man.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I have anything in the meh or bad. It's not a perfect movie.
Yeah, really the only meh I have is...
We can hop to the meh. What do you got?
I was going to say, some of the pacing, it's a little slow at sometimes. I can see that. Like, some of the pacing, it is slow. Like, some of the church scene does drag a little bit.
That's fair.
But...
That's fair.
And also, like, the shot of the church burning down, I don't really like that because it just looks so fake. Which I understand it's in the 80s, but...
Yeah.
I didn't really think they even needed to show it. It's not that bad. That's why it's in the meh. But
yeah.
Other than that, I really don't have anything other than it's just a little boring at some parts, but I enjoy it. But like, I could see why.
Yeah.
Some people would be like, "This is kind of a boring."
I definitely get what you're saying parts. For sure.
Which so does the book. It's
like
you said, it's a good adaptation of the book. They spend a lot of time in the church at the book.
Yeah.
So I understand it, but
I guess if I could change anything, it would, and this would go on to the book too. A better ending for Ponyboy and Cherry Valance.
Yeah, they say they don't really get any closure at all.
No, it's Cherry can't do it because Bob was the one that killed, and that's who she was seeing for the most part. But you root for Ponyboy's the guy you're rooting for this whole movie, and he really never did anything wrong.
Yeah,
he was the one getting drowned.
He didn't really get anything either. He didn't get the girl. He lost 2 of his best friends.
I don't think Johnny necessarily did anything wrong either because he was saving his friend by doing what he did. But Ponyboy, is drowning, and then he's just a good friend. Then he's the first one to hop into the building to save the kids.
Yeah,
and then he loses his best friend. He loses Dallas, who's a guy he looks
like his
up
older
to,
brother type,
despite him being probably not the best mentor. But Ponyboy really draws some bad cards in this movie. So if I could change anything, I would say a better ending for him and Cherry.
Yeah, he definitely deserves.
He deserves the girl, man.
Yeah.
But
hey,
at the end of the day,
not all stories have happy endings, though. So you can't. Sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. That's how it goes. That's it's the same way. So,
but we're gonna hop over to our final thoughts and ratings. One thing I do want to say that we've forgotten the good. I love the song that the movie opens and closes to. It's just a feel good. Yeah. I should have looked up what it's called, but every time it starts playing, and that's
is it from the 50s?
I don't know if it's that old. I'd probably say like 60s or 70s, but every time it starts playing, I know that's The Outsiders that's coming on, or The Outsiders is ending because it's the same song at the start and the end. But when the credits roll, another shout out to movies opening with credits. I do love that. Yeah. Missed that. I'm here for that. Just like the names overlaying like an opening aesthetic shot. I do love that.
You don't really get that a lot no more. Not until the end.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'm in the movie theater like trying to look up who is this.
yeah. But no. What do you want to leave off The Outsiders? What do you give it out of 10?
It's a fun one. If you haven't seen it, you should have watched it by now.
Yeah, for sure.
But
it's 42.
Older than me. So, nostalgic for me. It's not like you said. It's not a perfect movie, but nostalgic for me, and it's a good one. So I'll probably give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I think 8 out of 10, solid movie.
We're in the same wavelength. This movie's been an 8 out of 10 since day one, and it's just stayed the course. It's just a great movie. It's like I said, it's not the greatest movie ever made, but it's a good time. Yeah. It's a nice 90-minute fun story. I mean, not really fun story, but like
good story.
It's a good story. It is, and it's great cast. Yeah. It's just a fun watch. Every time I watch it, it takes me back to middle school.
Yeah.
So
SFA.
Definitely worth the watch.
I don't even know what SFA stood for.
I don't know either. But it is a good watch, especially for anybody in our town that read it with us. But
I'm sure other schools did too. It was probably part of like the curricular.
It seems like a very popular book.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's like been a part of the curriculum for reading classes all over. That'll do it for The Outsiders. Kris,
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming on.
Always.
Thank you all for watching. If you like what you're watching, check out some other videos. Hit the subscribe button or follow the social links down below. As always, it's all appreciated. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Peace.